Well, hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be answering questions from a Q&A. I recently put up a post on my community tab celebrating the fact that this channel has doubled in size over the past several months. If you're a subscriber to this channel, thank you so much. You are contributing to the success and growth of this channel. And if you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to grow this community upwards of 25,000. I thought with the growth of the channel, it would be a good opportunity for me to find out what it is that you are curious about. And so I've got about 13, 14, 15 questions, something like that, that I'm going to address in this video. And hopefully that will illuminate a little bit about my intentions, my past, and my opinions about various topics. So this is a chatty one. Grab a snack, we're in for a ride. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just grab my laptop because this is where I have the questions saved and it will help me get through these. So I did separate some things into various categories so I can group some of the questions together because they're essentially asking the same or similar things, and then some are just completely independent. I'm going to start with one of my YouTube friends' questions, a tiny nomad. If you are not following Gina, you should definitely go check out her channel. But she asks, do you ever get burned out making videos? And if so, what do you do to combat it? Asking for a friend. Also, what types of cameras and creator gear do you use? Your essentials. So we have a two-part question there. My answer about whether or not I get burnt out making videos would be no. I have had this channel since 2016, but I haven't been completely consistent about making videos. However, it's never been the fact that I've felt burnt out with it. Sometimes I have felt a bit too self-conscious to share, and a lot of other times I've just gotten way too busy with seasonal work and other responsibilities that I just don't have the time or energy to put into the channel. Since I have created 42 videos so far in this series since October. I have been very consistent with making videos and I do not feel burnt out at all. Granted, that's not a very long period of time, but if anything, the more I create, the more I feel inspired to create. And if honestly, the biggest challenge for me is throttling back on that a little bit. I can tend to get carried away with wanting to conquer a certain amount of workload, and it's kind of hard for me to remember that I am a one person operation over here. I am the adventurer, the producer, the director, the talent, the editor, the advertiser, the marketer, the business person. I am doing it all and I love doing it, but I have such a creative mind and so many ideas that it is sometimes really hard to remember that I can't do as much as I would love to. In other parts of my career, I've gotten really accustomed to managing teams, and so as I have all these creative ideas, I'm used to collaborating with other people, dividing responsibilities, and working together on projects. And here I don't have a team at my disposal. So if anything, I feel like I do put some pressure on myself because I tend to overcommit to things. And this leads me to the answer to your next question. I am trying to produce a video talking about my camera gear, my essentials, and my video process. I have the entire video worked out on everything I'm going to show and talk about. I just haven't had an opportunity to film that yet. So that is in the works, but the long and short of it is pretty much everything I'm filming on my uh, iPhone 15 Pro. I do use Rode Go Wireless 2 microphones on occasion, and I use pretty simple tripods. I have over the years used different cameras, including DJI um, uh, Osmos, as well as a Sony 6400, and sometimes I miss shooting on those devices. But when that video comes out about my process, I'll explain more in detail why it is that I am just shooting on an iPhone at this time. This leads me to a related question, and that is if I would consider learning how to film shots using a drone. So I actually own a drone and I'm charging it right now. I'm actually going to see if it is working. I know it's flying, but I think the camera is a little bit damaged. And truth be told, almost every time I've gotten that thing in the air, I end up damaging one component of it or another. I absolutely love when creators include drone footage in their videos. I don't so much love as a camper in wilderness areas when people are using drones. So I'm always very selective about when and where I would fly a drone. And I'm also kind of terrible at controlling it. But yeah, they're not permissible in every area. And honestly, I kind of appreciate that because they are loud. But I do love the effect of it. So I'm going to see what the condition of mine is and consider integrating it in some videos coming up. All right, my next series of questions are related to my travel plans, how long I intend to live nomadically, and if I would consider settling down again. One of the people that asked me this question is Jim Hutchinson. Thank you, Jim, for being a member of my channel and helping to support the journey. He's asking how long I plan to do this. Ideally, I'd like to do a 50-state road trip. I also, as we know, would love to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, and I have ambitions to visit 50 countries before I turn 50. So I have a lot of plans pertaining to travel, and I have no time limit on this. I hope I can make it my full-time lifestyle to be a content creator and be traveling. And if that's not the case, then I'll go back and do seasonal work from time to time in order to facilitate the video production and the travel experience. So the answer of whether or not I have plans to settle down or if I would ever settle down again right now is no. I do not have plans to settle down. In fact, I don't ever really feel like I was completely settled in my life, or maybe there were just a few years where I did feel quite settled. But ever since I was a little girl, I've moved around a lot, all throughout the country, coast to coast, north and south, every 2 to 3 years as being a military kid. And that really didn't stop until I hit my mid 20s, and then it stopped for a few years. But now I've been nomadic again, and this just feels like my natural state. A question somewhat related to that is what was life like before getting on the road and if I miss anything about it? And there were about 14 years when I was in a relationship. A number of those years did involve living in a house, having a career, or being a stay-at-home wife. And I did have a beautiful life, a life that I was lucky to have and that many people would appreciate and absolutely cherish as their dream. And although I was very appreciative of it, it did not necessarily feel like my complete dream. However, I did want to be a mother and I wanted to have a family in that way. And that was a road that was not open to me in the way that my relationship would allow. So that chapter is closed. I sometimes miss it in the way of mourning or grieving, but I don't necessarily actively miss it on any sort of regular basis. And I feel like I am on the road that I am supposed to be on now. So I take comfort in that. And yeah, I don't really see that settling down in that kind of way is a path for me moving forward. I would like to hire a car and travel through the US for 3 months. To reduce costs, I'm thinking of buying a tent and staying on BLM land as much as possible. But I wonder what to do when I have to go to the toilet. How do you solve this? So as someone that doesn't have a complete rig. I have the car. I can sometimes need to be creative in the process of using the restroom, but that creativity is really no different than following the leave no trace principles that one would follow when doing a backpacking trip. So I do have a shovel in my car, and when necessary, I dig a 6-inch deep cat hole and I do my business and cover it, packing up any litter to be disposed of when I come to a trash can. Now, there are some facilities at some dispersed campsites that are free. Definitely, you can still save costs, especially in the western part of the United States, by staying on free land. And some of that free land does come with access to a restroom. Go to a gas station or shopping area, a big box store, things like that are plentiful throughout the US, unless you're in a really remote area. But usually, even then, you can kind of find a gas station and they will allow you to use the restroom for free, no questions asked typically. Sometimes they'll have a sign for customers only, and I usually make it a habit of buying something there, but nobody's really going to harass you about it. And here in the US, it's not customary to have to pay to use the restroom. I have found that our availability of restrooms is by and large much more accessible than in Europe, that's for sure. There are a couple of questions now pertaining to the Pacific Crest Trail. Why will hiking the Pacific Crest Trail cost $10,000? So $10,000 is the estimated amount that I came up with based on recent PCT through hikers information. So do I know for a fact that it will cost me $10,000 to hike the PCT? No. I don't know that because I haven't done it yet. And when I do have the opportunity to hike the PCT, I will definitely be keeping track of that because I think it is really useful information. But some of the things that contribute to the cost of the Pacific Crest Trail are transportation to and from trailheads, the gear replacements on trail, food. Town visits are going to cost money because you're going to be paying for hotel rooms or hostels. PCT is really more of a hotel room thing. Also, town food. If you want to indulge in larger meals in town as part of the experience, and especially if you're adding alcohol to the bill, that's going to increase the cost. And over the course of 5 to 6 months, all of this is going to add up, in addition to having to pay any lifestyle bills that might be left at home. Any of your regular bill expenses over the course of 5 months is easily going to add up to a couple of $1,000s at least, depending on what your financial responsibilities are. There are other creators out there who have hiked the Pacific Crest Trail and the Appalachian Trail that have complete breakdowns of what their costs are. So if you're really interested in learning about all the little nitty-gritty details of that, I would definitely encourage you to search that on YouTube and find out some of those creators and what the cost was. I think Hiking Dancer has a video about this. And I find her videos really entertaining. What are your reasons for hiking the PCT that you will write down on a piece of paper and carry with you so that you can reread them on a day when the going gets tough? Well, I don't know that I'll do that exact practice, although that is a good idea. But I don't know that I have an exact reason other than I highly desire the experience and the sense of accomplishment that I think will come with the completion of that epic trek. When I'm working out, when I'm training, I like to visualize the moment of reaching the terminus and what that feeling will be. And I think that more than any sort of phrase or motto, I will hold on to that visualization as I am working through the journey to remember that feeling that I want to capture when I complete the trail. Do you think you will ever progress to a van for more space? I do hope at some point that I will progress to a larger vehicle to have more space and just have the ability to work and prepare food inside the vehicle more comfortably than I currently do. Whether or not that will be a van is up for debate, something that I sometimes think about. And while I'm traveling and going through different scenarios, I think about whether or not, what kind of rig would work best for the situation that I'm in and what I'm traveling through and what I really like. Sometimes I think a 4x4 truck with, a good amount of power and a truck camper on it, like a heavy duty truck, would be a really good option for me. Um, Sometimes I think, well, I could move into a more powerful SUV and then maybe eventually get a small trailer to tow and have a build out in the vehicle, but also have the availability of a trailer. I think I'm nowhere near making a decision on that right now. Um, but it's something I do think about from time to time, but I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it. I recently heard someone say, and I can't remember who it was, but I think it was another creator on YouTube. I just don't remember at all who it was. But it really struck me was that it's good to have dreams, but that this person didn't want to wish away the season of life they were currently in. And that's how I feel too. I feel like spending too much time daydreaming about having a bigger rig or a better rig is not being grateful for what I do have, and it will maybe subtract a little bit from the experience that I'm currently having, which is so incredible. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I try not to spend a whole lot of time worrying about. And also, as I mentioned earlier, I do have ambitions for international travel in the future, like within my 5-year plan. So, I don't know that it necessarily makes sense to invest in a larger or more aggressive rig when I also have those dreams as well. All right. I did van life for 2 years and love your content. Thank you. My question, how did you get the courage to open your life publicly and start your channel? I thought about it but never pulled the cord. So this actually takes us way back. I'm closing my laptop for this one. No, because I do love talking about this. Um, because I started my YouTube channel at a time where I was really getting into hiking. And part of what gave me confidence to go out hiking was these content creators, specifically a couple showing the PCT, that showed the trail in a very approachable way. They filmed a lot, they talked a reasonable amount, and I could get a real feeling of what it was to be out there. And that made me more comfortable with the idea of going out there myself. I wanted to show up as a female hiker and represent an underrepresented gender at the time, because at the time when I was watching these videos on YouTube between 2015 and 2016, there were very, very few female content creators in the hiking genre. And I still learned a lot and was inspired a lot by the men, but I wanted to make it known that it's something that women are able to also participate in and just show that perspective. So this channel used to be called This Girl Hikes, and that is the reason that I put the term girl in the title of that channel, was because I wanted to represent the females for that. And so that's what drove me to start creating content, was that I just wanted to kind of return the favor of what had been done to me, of making something approachable that I really strongly desired. And I feel like that has been successful in it. It ran its course, and definitely more females have joined the genre since then, it was back in the days of Hike Oregon and Homemade Wanderlust and This Girl Hikes. Like, we were, holding it down for the females, and now there's a lot more representation. And my life has changed, so I changed the name of the channel, but I think I also continue to want to share how sort of a second life can be, because, as I mentioned earlier, I did have a different type of life for a while, and now this is how I'm living and I'm happy with it. So I kind of want to share that same inspiration and show the journey for that. Our last two questions are how-to questions. So let's start with, I would love to hear about your system for securing valuables in your car while on long hikes or backpacking trips. Yeah, it is something that I really do worry about, but I try to sort of like feel a sense of protection, a sense of understanding that that's not really something that's completely in my control. So I sort of like just pray about it and then let it go, because if I am so covetous of my belongings that I don't want to leave my vehicle, then I'm not going to have an experience that I genuinely want to have and that I think I should be having. That being said, I don't try to be reckless and foolish about it. So one of the reasons why most of the things I keep in my vehicle are black is because with the dark tint on my windows, it is difficult with everything sort of being black in there, including the interior, to determine what is what in there. I also try to keep any really valuable things out of sight. I do have a couple of sneaky hiding spots that I'm not going to disclose online, but also, I try to keep up window shades almost every time I get out of the car, regardless of whether it's needed or not. I put up the front window shade because that window is the most transparent, so it's easier to see what's in the car. But if I'm going to be out of the vehicle for a long period of time, I'll actually go through, like when I did my backpacking trip in Arizona recently, I put every single window shade up with the black side facing out so that nobody can look in and see. But it is possible that somebody could break in and steal everything. I really hope it doesn't happen, but I try not to spend too much time worrying about it. Yeah, I wish I had a better tip for you there, but it's just one of the liabilities that can happen. And, even if you own a home in a nice neighborhood, people break into those too, to be honest. It happened to my neighbors back in the day. It's terrible. Would you mind telling us about your skincare routine on the road? I like using bougie products also. So I will tell you about it. It has simplified quite a lot, and I am no longer using the bougie products that I used to because I am trying to be much more frugal. It is difficult to forego those things sometimes, but it is also worth it. So let me grab a couple of products. Okay, this is my entire beauty regimen. Actually, it's not my entire. I also keep this little thing um, on my refrigerator because this is my nighttime stuff. Hyaluronic acid. I love this one by The Ordinary. It's inexpensive but very effective. It feels amazing to put this on, especially out west where we have low humidity. Slathering this stuff on a couple of times a day feels amazing. I've recently switched to some Trader Joe's um, skincare. It was recommended to me and it is pretty affordable. So I have their moisturizer right now. In the past, I've used the Ordinary moisturizer, which is also fantastic and quite affordable. It was easier for me to get my hands on the Trader Joe's one when I was running out. And then this is what I use for my SPF every day. And I also just like the effect that it gives my skin. And it's the Super Goop Glow Screen. It has 40 SPF, and I really just like the way that that makes my skin look. Also, I always have a ton of these laying around, just simple Vaseline lip treatment to try to keep everything hydrated. I feel like that is so much of the key out west. All right, at nighttime, I have been using just this e.l.f. Makeup melting stuff. I actually really like the LMS one. It is much more expensive, but the way it smells and the way it works is so good. I can't justify that right now. And so I'll put this all over my skin to kind of break up the makeup, and then I'm going to use like a makeup removing wipe. pretty bad, but I don't use water on my face every night to wash it. It just doesn't happen. Like, I know I'm supposed to do it, I just don't. So that's where we are. And then I've been using the Trader Joe's retinol serum, which I heard good things about. It's 0.3% retinol, and I use that as the final product at night. I can throw on some moisturizer and hyaluronic acid on top of that, kind of depending on the climate area I'm in and what is going on with my skin. I also haven't needed to use this, but last winter I was like big time slugging with Vaseline on my face every night when I was getting home from work because I was living and working up in the mountains of Utah in the wintertime with heaters on, and I worked at a place where we had a ton of fireplaces, and so it was just super, super low humidity everywhere. So I would just slather that on my skin as the last step. But I don't do this regularly in the car. I don't think I've done this since I was in Utah earlier this year. I feel like I've yapped on enough about that topic, so hopefully I answered your question well enough. Thank you so much to those of you who participated in this Q&A and showed some curiosity about me and my life and my preferences. It is so flattering to know that you want to hear from me, and I just so deeply appreciate your engagement in my channel. Again, thank you so much for being here, and consider subscribing if you are not already subscribed. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye!